Good morning. When I say you have to set aside X amount of money as an emergency fund, people will shock. In that shock, they will ask the counter question like whether I should keep this money in equity oriented mutual funds or else high yielding instruments because this is a huge corpus. Keeping such a corpus in a low yielding bank FD or certain debt funds is devalue your money. Or else, can I use the credit card instead of keeping this much of a huge corpus as an emergency fund? Let us try to address these questions in this video. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. As I told you earlier, if I say someone that you have to put certain X amount of money as an emergency fund, people will shock. These are the guys who doesn't have a track record of tracking their monthly expenses. They are earning and they are spending lavishly without bothering what will happen. When I say you have to set aside X amount of money as an emergency fund, it is obviously based on their commitment or else monthly expenses. But when the quantum turn to be like a bigger, people will shock. They try to ask the question why I have to keep this much of emergency fund in a low yielding bank FD or else certain debt funds. Why not we use this corpus to some other products like equity mutual funds or else some other instruments where the returns are higher. See, when I say emergency corpus or else parking the emergency corpus, I am not using the word investment here. I am using the word parking mainly because when I say emergency fund, two things matters to us a lot. The first one is the emergency corpus should be as safe as possible. The second important aspect you have to look for is it should be as liquid as possible because we don't know when the emergency will knock. Even if the emergency knocks in the midnight also, we must be in a position to liquidate it as soon as possible. So if we consider these two aspects as a priority for parking our emergency fund, obviously a simple bank FD is fantastic product. If you want to explore certain other debt funds like a equity fund, liquid fund or else money market fund, then fantastic. But as I told you, they want to explore such a products in a equity oriented mutual funds because they don't want to set aside this much of a big corpus in a low yielding product. It is a wrong strategy. Now, let me answer you the second question, whether I can use my credit card as an emergency fund. To validate or else to give an example about this one, whether to use it or not, let me share my own experience. During the second wave of a COVID in 2020, me, my wife and daughter, all three got infected with the COVID. Even though my wife and my daughter condition is normal, to certain extent I felt uncomfortable with my situation. And when I approached my clients who are also doctors, a few told that all of your oxygen level is normal, why you want to go hospitalization and all those stuffs. And other doctors told that okay, now it is fine if your oxygen level came down and at that point of a time we are unable to provide you the bed, then obviously it will be risky. So better you admit in the hospital and stay here for 4 5 days, and afterwards you can go to home easily. So considering the second option, me, my wife and daughter, all three admitted in hospital. Even though it is one of my doctor client hospital, due to the very high demand, they are not in a position to accept the cashless hospitalization. Cashless health insurance benefit. So obviously, I have to pay the amount from my own pocket, and then I have to reimburse the hospitalization expenses with the health insurance company. Now, during that point of time, my health insurance was, family floater health insurance was around 10 lakh rupees, and I have a super top up of 65 lakh rupees. And along with that one, due to the COVID, as there was a lot of uncertainty, I increased my emergency fund from 6 months to 24 months. Having these two in mind, and also the third important aspect is I know that the cost of hospitalization is maybe within the limit of 2 to 3 lakh rupees. At that point of a time, I used my credit card to pay the bill, and once I discharged from the hospital, then immediately I approached the insurance company, and within 15 to 20 days, the claim was also accepted. And during the due date of the credit card bill payment, I paid it from the amount whatever I received from the health claim. Okay, so this way I used my credit card efficiently to claim the to claim the hospitalization bill or else to sail through the emergency fund. So what I am trying to say here by giving my own example is that use the credit card as an emergency when you know very well that what is the quantum of that emergency corpus, emergency fund. If you are unsure of to what extent it will increase, for God's sake, don't use the credit card. The second thing is you must have a backup also. If assume that you use the credit card and the due date is there from the corner, and if you are unable to pay the bill, then obviously because of the high interest your bill will shoot up. So for that reason you must have a second plan also, like having a proper health insurance and also having a huge amount of emergency fund. If you don't have these aspects or else these checklist, then for God's sake, don't use your credit card as an emergency fund. I think I cleared the doubts here. Especially in my case, I am very much comfortable to have a separate emergency fund rather than relying on a credit card. But it is up to you how you decide. As I told you, use the credit card when you know the limit of emergency. Have a backup plan also, and don't withdraw the money from your investable surplus or else whatever you invested just to pay the credit card bill in case of emergency. So considering all these aspects, I think it will be sensible idea for you to have a separate emergency corpus rather than using or else relying on a credit card for your emergency fund. Thank you for watching this video.